I knew something was off the second I pulled up to where my mountain house used to stand. Gone. Flattened, like someone just swept the whole place off the map with a goddamn cosmic broom. Nothing left but splinters and the busted mailbox half buried in gravel, still stamped with my name, Benjamin Powers, in faded gold letters. I killed the engine, sat there with my knuckles tight on the wheel, boots planted, breath all ragged. When I finally stepped out, the ground felt wrong under my feet, like even the dirt was in shock. The wraparound deck I'd built with my own hands, gone. Hell, even the air smelled different, scorched, final. And then, of course, I heard it. That voice. You know the one I'm talking about, shrill, smug, makes you want to check your blood pressure. Well, if it isn't Mr. Too Good for HOA rules himself. I turned slow. Amber Bellington, Queen Bee of the Silver Ridge HOA, standing there with her highlighted helmet of hair and a clipboard like she's about to knight someone. She had that smile on, the one that says she's already decided you're guilty, and now she's just savoring the paperwork. You did this. My voice didn't even sound like mine. She just shrugged, flipping through a stack of papers. We issued multiple warnings, Benjamin. Over $7,000 in fines, code violations, unauthorized deck extension, non-compliant fence height, and of course, the infamous sunflower flag. I blinked at her, trying to get my head around it. You demolished a house over a flag? She just looked at me like I was asking if fire is hot. Political imagery against HOA decorum. I wanted to laugh. That flag had a sunflower on it, our state flower. But Amber? She was already rolling on, reading me the riot act with all the warmth of a traffic camera. I clenched my fists. Where's the demolition permit, Amber? She didn't miss a beat. Approved by the board, unanimous vote. Oh, you mean your cousin Todd and your wine club buddy Cheryl? Still a vote. She smirked, spun on her heel, strutted back to her Lexus like a villain in some cheap movie. You should have read the bylaws, Benjamin. You're not above the rules. She didn't know what I did for a living. Folks up here just figured I was the quiet guy who liked flannel shirts, hiking boots, and grilling steaks. They didn't know I was the governor of this state. I kept that to myself for a reason. Nobody likes a politician at the barbecue. But Amber just declared war on the wrong guy. I didn't go back to the Capitol that night. Booked a room at the Old Mountain Lodge instead, the one with the creaky floors and that smell of wood smoke in the halls. The old-timers there remembered me from before I ever ran for office, just a guy who wanted a little peace. Now I was anything but peaceful. Next morning, I called Sheriff Rick Callahan. His handshake felt like it could bend rebar, and he looked at me like he already knew I was about to drop a bomb in his lap. You're telling me they leveled your entire house, he said, chewing on a toothpick, eyes narrowed. I slid a folder across the desk, high-res satellite photos. The house was there on Wednesday. By Friday, nothing but rubble, no storms, no accidents, just a demolition crew, no legal permit on file. Rick's face got darker the more he flipped through. They told us it was an accessory structure, a shed or something. Didn't go through zoning. I nodded. They lied. That's not a civil issue, Rick. That's criminal misrepresentation. He leaned back. Want me to bring them in? Not yet. I want to know who signed off on the crew. The company, the contract, the money, follow the money. By noon, I was sitting in a folding chair at the back of the community pool house, just a guy in jeans and a windbreaker with my state ID clipped to my shirt. The HOA board was holding their usual closed-door meeting, but I'd come armed with a court order, district judge's signature, compelling them to open the meeting to residents on account of the investigation and the public's right to transparency. Cheryl, the HOA secretary, looked like she'd seen a ghost when she saw me. Amber was already at the head of the table, scrolling her tablet. She stood, tried to play it cool, but her eyes flickered. Wasn't aware we had guests. You're aware now, I said, stepping to the center of the room. Meeting's public. By court order. I didn't bother sitting. The structure you demolished last Thursday was not an accessory building, I started. It was a registered primary residence with full occupancy permits. I let that hang. Amber glanced at Todd, the treasurer, who looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. You claimed unpaid fines as justification, I continued. Fines that, by your own books, were never formally invoiced or itemized, never sent certified mail. Amber tried to interrupt. We have internal processes. Not anymore. As of this morning, The state has frozen all HOA financial operations pending investigation. That got a reaction. Gasps, whispers, Cheryl's face blanching. You can't do that, Amber snapped. We're a private entity. I handed her a document. Emergency executive order, signed under state authority. In cases of fraud, misrepresentation, or destruction of property under false pretenses, all governance bodies are subject to audit. She stared at the paper like it might bite her. And just to be clear, I added, I'm recusing myself. The AG's office is appointing a special investigator, independent. Todd muttered, You're trying to ruin us. I shook my head. You did that when you used community funds to pay a demolition crew, listed as landscape leveling. Cheryl, you and Todd both signed off on it. Cheryl's pen dropped. I didn't know what it was for. Todd was sweating now. Amber filled out the forms, told us it was park maintenance. Amber hissed, You're lying. No, you're lying, Todd shot back. You've been siphoning funds for months. I saw the receipts, patio heaters at your house, paid with HOA money. Enough, I said. That's when Rick Callahan stepped in with 2 deputies. We've seen enough, he said, voice like a gavel. Amber Bellington, Todd Vance, you're under arrest for misuse of funds, misrepresentation, and destruction of property. The room spun into chaos. Cheryl just slumped in her chair. I didn't stick around for the handcuffs. Outside, the sun was rising over the ridge. Neighbors clustered at the pool gate, watching. One nodded at me. I nodded back. For the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I belonged up here again. 3 days after the arrests, I stood in the ruins of my kitchen. Forensic teams were everywhere, marking evidence, bagging up debris. Fire Inspector Darnell, a man built like a boulder, knelt beside a blackened support beam. You were lucky to catch this, he said, pulling off his gloves. Somebody used industrial solvent as an accelerant, not a standard demolition. They wanted to make sure nothing was left to rebuild. So this wasn't about fines or fences or flags. It was about erasing me. Send it to the AG's office, I said. Darnell nodded, already calling over his crew. Near my truck, a woman in a Navy suit waited, Special Investigator Lena Brooks. Governor Powers, she said. We've traced $250,000 funneled through shell companies tied to the HOA. Most went to buy up foreclosed lots after residents couldn't pay inflated fines. She handed me a map, parcels of land, highlighted, all owned now by dummy companies. Once the HOA hit 75% ownership, they had a deal to sell the whole ridge to a development firm. Amber brokered it, but she didn't act alone. Emails connect her to a consulting group in Denver, experts in community revitalization. Where's the money now? I asked. Frozen. The treasurer's office moved fast, but they almost got it offshore. Just then, an unmarked SUV pulled up. A man in a suit handed Lena a folder. The demo crew was paid cash through a shell contractor. Owner is Todd's brother-in-law. No license. Lena snapped the folder shut. Federal charges incoming. Later that day, we called a town hall meeting. The place was packed. Retirees, teachers, families. I stood at the front. No mic, no podium, just me. I'm not here as your governor. I'm here as your neighbor. What was done to us wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. Your homes, your trust, leveraged and stolen by the people supposed to protect them. But that ends now. You could feel the shift, anger, grief, and finally hope. Silver Ridge HOA is dissolved. Board under federal investigation. A provisional resident council will run things until we can hold fair elections. And every fine, every charge from the past 2 years will be reviewed. If it's bogus, it'll be voided and refunded. Applause broke out, awkward at first, then growing louder. Afterward, people came up, offering help. A retired firefighter offered to lead the rebuild on my house. Others who'd lost homes signed on to testify. Within the week, we'd fast-tracked a bill. Strict new rules on HOAs, mandatory audits, public records, real criminal penalties for abuse. It passed, no debate. Amber and Todd got indicted on racketeering and fraud. Cheryl testified, got a deal. The developer bailed, too hot. Their stock tanked. Silver Ridge started healing. I didn't rebuild the mansion. Worked with the firefighter and volunteers to put up something smaller, simpler, wide porch, big windows. Every board, every nail, cut and set by neighbors. The view looked different, but it felt like home. A month later, Lena called. We cracked encrypted files, off-the-books meeting recordings from Todd's device. 3 days before your house went down, Amber says, the governor's too high profile. Remove the structure and bury the paper trail. Todd worries it'll backfire. Amber tells him. By the time he figures it out, the land's transferred. Then Cheryl, what if the press finds out? Amber laughs. We'll say it was a mistake. He's a politician. He'll want it buried. My stomach turned. Lena kept going. Another call. The next day, Amber talking to Byron Kepler. Private equity. Promised Amber a cut and a spot on the advisory board if she delivers. She signed the sale agreement 2 days before the demo. Cash offer. I stared at the trees. Get a federal prosecutor. Already in motion, she said. Byron Kepler didn't live here. He ran a firm out of Denver, bought distressed properties for pennies, flipped them to developers. 3 days later, U.S. Marshals grabbed him at a private airfield, about to board a jet to the Caymans. 2 burner phones, a briefcase full of cash, a flash drive of HOA partners in 3 states. Back home, Silver Ridge was rebuilding more than houses. Residents started a legal fund. A retired clerk organized case files. A librarian donated space. At the next council meeting, an old man stood up, voice shaking, but loud. They bulldozed my wife's garden. But I'm not here to cry. I'm planning something new. I bet I'm not the only one. That got a real applause, quiet, but strong. After the meeting, Lena asked if I was sticking around. They don't need me for that, I said. She nodded. Kepler's arraignment's Monday. Amber and Todd are flipping, naming names. This is just the start. Kepler's firm is tied to 12 other HOAs. We stood in the cool night, watched folks leaving arm in arm. Funny thing about corruption, I said. It's always loud, till people start paying attention. Over the next few months, the state passed 3 new laws: mandatory third-party audits, full public disclosure for all HOA board spending, and a new ombudsman agency with teeth. The Silver Ridge case became the blueprint. Kepler got 20 years, no parole. His firm dissolved, assets liquidated, money went to a restitution fund. Amber, Todd, Cheryl, banned from ever running another HOA. Community service, restitution, televised apologies. I never rebuilt the mansion. The porch I've got now is all I need. Every winter, when the snow comes in and the fire's crackling, I sit there, coffee in hand, and remember what it took to make this place ours again. One snowy afternoon, a boy rode up, handed me a paper, hand-drawn map of Silver Ridge. Thanks for saving our town, he'd written in the corner. He didn't wait for thanks, just pedaled off. I pinned that map above my workbench, stood there a while, watching snow build up on the sill. They tried to take everything, but in the end, they gave us back something better. A reason to fight, a reason to stay, and maybe, just maybe, a reason to believe that no matter how far the rot runs, there's always a way to cut it out, root and branch. So tell me, if it happened in your town, what would you have done? Drop a comment. Let's hear where you stand on justice, on community, on standing your ground when the system tries to bury you.